Right back there.
Good evening, and thank you so much for this exquisite film. My question is, what was the outcome of the struggle between BID and the community?
It's unresolved.
But is it going one way?
It's ongoing, as they say.
But whose side is looking better, or which side is looking better, BID or the community?
I don't know.
Thank you.
We have Jorge, right in front of the pole.
How do you start? Where do you start? Like, what's the first thing you start filming, and then how do you start editing once you have all this? Where do you begin?
How do you start filming, and how do you start editing?
Like with a film like this, where do you start?
Where do you start?
Whatever interests you. I mean, I had visited Jackson Heights twice. Once in 2007, and I was going to make the film then, but an opportunity came up to make a movie about the ballet in Paris. So I thought permission for that would disappear, so I made that, and some, other opportunities came up in Paris. So in the spring of 2014, I visited Jackson Heights for another half day, walked around, and then decided that it would make, an interesting movie. I mean, it's always a roll of the dice. The model is Las Vegas, because I don't do any research in advance, except the shooting of the film is research. Because I don't like to be around doing research and something interesting. For example, if I'd been there doing research the day that the women from Alabama were cleaning the very dirty streets of Jackson Heights as part of their religious mission, and I wanted to come up and ask them to pray for her father, I would have been near suicidal to miss that. It was just chance getting it. And a lot of it is just chance. But I mean, it's a combination of chance and luck, if there's a difference between chance and luck, and judgment. In a sense, recognizing what's happening and shooting it. And in the editing, this took me 11 months. I had about 120 hours of rushes. And the basic technique for editing a film like this is sitting in a chair and getting fed intravenously till the film is finished. But the first thing I do is look at all the rushes. That takes me 5 or 6 weeks. I make notes about them. At the end of that, I put aside about 50% of the material. Then over the next 6 or 7 months, I edit all the sequences that I think might make it into the final film. And when I have all the so-called candidate sequences edited, it's only then that I begin to think about the structure, because I'm not very good about thinking about structure in the abstract. I have to sort of see and try to understand the consequences of starting one way and then making what the significance is of putting another sequence after my original choice for the first sequence, and ultimately how the first 10 minutes is related to the last 10 minutes. And editing these movies is, I mean, more than at least 50% of it has nothing to do with film technique or editing technique. It has to do with trying to recognize what it is you're looking at and seeing and hearing in the rushes. Because unless I can identify to myself whether I'm right or wrong, or I delude myself, I have to feel that I understand what it is that I'm looking at in order to decide whether or not I want to use the sequence, two, if how I might want to cut it down, and three, where I might put it in the film. And that has very little to do with film technique, but it has to do with trying to understand those various aspects and complicated aspects of human behavior that are represented in the rushes.
Just one more question.
Hi, this was a lovely documentary, and it didn't really feel like 3 hours. And I moved to New York 10 years ago, and someone told me if I really want to enjoy the spirit of immigrant New York, that I must go to Jackson Heights. And so this is amazing for me to see this. So my question is, among many lasting impressions you're left with about Jackson Heights, is there anyone in particular that you might want to share with us?
What you just saw. Thanks, everybody.